Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode. I'm so glad that you are here. Tonight's episode is called The Burnout Behind the Brew, Caring for Yourself as an Herbalist. If you are new here, you are most certainly welcome. And if you're a returning listener, thank you so much. I appreciate your support, your prayers, your comments, conversations, all of that. I appreciate you. Now, I've recorded this tonight's podcast at least twice. I've started, stop. Had too much on my computer or whatever, too much storage. So, hey, we're just going to rock and roll with what we got, you know? Because I had a nice little rant in the beginning, and then the recording device that I'm on, it cut off and said, you don't have any more space. That's it. So I was just like, ugh. But anyway, what I wanted to say was I was annoyed earlier. Okay, just a little moment of transparency. I was annoyed earlier because I was watching, as I was getting my cornbread together for my dressing, I was watching a YouTube video. And in the YouTube video, the girl was basically exposing how this one particular country was making meat from a 3D printer. Yes, wrap your head around that for just 1 second, because I had to wrap my head around that real quick. And so I went from, the more she kept talking, I went from like shock to annoyance, right? Because on my website, www.thedemystifiedherbalist.com, please go check it out. I have a tab on there called The Hidden Enemy. And with The Hidden Enemy, I talk about the things that cause people to have diseases, disorders, all these other type of things that we often don't even look at or even pay attention to because we're so busy focused on everything else. And so it brought that tab back up to mind, and I really started chewing on it, and I really got annoyed because the reality of it is that it's in what we eat. I don't even know any other way to say it. I said all this long old speech, during my first recording. But at the end of the day, if I was just to sum it all up, it's in our food, it's in our air, it's in our water. And it's really going to take the Most High, because sometimes I'm just like, why? Why can't we eat real food? Why? But I know why. And you know why. Right? Because there's no money in wellness and healing and being of sound mind and body. There's no money in that. And so in our capitalistic society, right, money comes before wellness and the safety and well-being of the people. The reality of it is that our food is not supposed to last that long. You're not supposed to go buy a bag of bread and then 5 months from now that bread is still, able to be eaten. No, you're not supposed to go and buy fruit and the apple's supposed to be all nice and pretty and it lasts for 3 weeks. No, you're not supposed to go buy some meat and then a whole year later you come back and that meat still looks the same. And anybody that's traveled out of any other countries outside of America, it's like the food tastes different, right? Fresh. You eat the vegetables, they taste clean. And it's weird and crazy to say that, but it's the truth. And so I got annoyed because as herbalists, we're constantly trying to help people get their body back in balance. And this is the reason why, side note, because it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about tonight. This is the reason why I believe we have to live a fasted life. I really do. Even if it's just 1 day or 2 days out of the week where you're just doing nothing but straight water, it's going to help the body because we consume so much crap on a daily basis. Even those, let's say, quote unquote, vegans, right? If you're eating fraudulent meat or processed foods, or you know what I'm saying? Even if you're not eating meat, let's say you get meat out of your equation, fine. But are you eating packaged foods? Because anything that comes in a box or a bag, 9 times out of 10, it's got chemicals in it. And so it's like, I'm just annoyed. Right? Because you see all these commercials of people sick and sadness and cancers and all these other things going on in people's lives. And you realize that the body is having to work overtime just to keep us alive from this fake society that we live in. So I was highly annoyed. I say was because after saying it 5,000 times because my recording wouldn't just stick, I'm not annoyed anymore. That annoyance has kind of left me. So I'm no longer annoyed, but I'm like, I have to start talking about this stuff. We have to start looking at these additives. We have to start looking at a lot of things. If you eat meat, is it real? At the end of the day, I'm totally okay if there's like a chicken shortage. It's okay if we don't have that many real chicken. You don't have to print up chicken in a lab. You can leave it alone. That's fine. I don't need no 3D printed meat. Okay. Oh my gosh. So there's exposés, and this isn't going to be the first time. This isn't the last time. There's been people over the years that have been talking about the additives and the things in the food. And mainstream society has been like, you guys are crazy, you're nuts, you're tinfoil hat, tree huggers, all that stuff, right? People were criticizing them and laughing at them and scoffing at them. And they're like, listen, listen, listen. People are, now it's on like a national stage, and it's getting exposed every day. What's in the food, what's in the water, what you're drinking, what's in your mate, all of this stuff. And now all of a sudden people are like, oh, but it's always been there. But the problem is, now what? Now we know that, right? What are we going to do with what we know? The people that make these decisions, the people that make these foods, everything. What are we going to do now that we do know? We're just going to know. That's it. Okay. Hey, just know that. Right? So it's annoying. It angers me to a degree as well, because it's like we're losing people left and right. People are dying every day and they don't have to. They're dying from imbalances and quote unquote diseases, and they don't have to. The body is doing everything it can to try to balance itself out, and you seemingly are making do. But then as soon as you step into some of these medical offices, communities, hospitals, or whatever, as soon as you step in there, you come out worse than when you started, because of their invasive procedures or whatever that happened. The guessing game, the figuring out, the poking, the prodding, the removing organs, all this stuff. I'm working on a project now that talks about herbal medicine and helping people that have removed limbs and organs and all this stuff. And the research is crazy. The number of people that are losing kidneys and limbs and hearts and lungs, all this stuff is crazy. But it's not tied to the chemicals, right? It's either some kind of weird genetic disease. No one can ever figure out what it is. Top scientists with all these degrees and white coats can never figure out what it is, right? That's crazy. So I had to do that. I had to get that out of me, because I was just annoyed by that. But we need to talk about that. Herbalists, talk about that. Talk about that to your people. Now, if you're talking to somebody and they looking at you like you're crazy and they don't want to hear it, so be it. But they can't never say they weren't told. But start talking about it. Start doing research, because at the end of the day, we all have clients. We all have family members. And it's just bananas to me that the stuff that's quote unquote healthy is more expensive, right? The delicacies, right, are more expensive than the junk. And so if the economy is trash and people can't afford groceries left and right as is, they're going to go get the survival food. But that survival food is killing them. They're not surviving anything. We're not surviving anything. So something has to change. Something has to change. So anyway, let me hop off my soapbox. Had to get that out of me, because that was just irking my soul. It was just irking my soul. I had to get that out of me. All right, let's talk about burnout. Why am I talking about this towards the end of the year, right? I'm talking about this because it's very important. It's very important. As herbalists, as people who caretake and care for others, it is very important that you have to recognize burnout when it happens, and you have to take care of yourself. It is not selfish to take care of yourself. You are not wrong for taking care of yourself and putting up boundaries. This conversation has to be had. So that's the reason why I talked about it. So in tonight's episode, we're going to talk about what burnout really is, why herbalists are particularly prone to it, the small subtle shifts that turn into full-blown collapses. We're going to talk about how burnout affects the mind and the body, why boundaries are very important. We're going to identify and talk about how to identify clients who are not ready to do the work. And then we're going to talk about practical ways to care for yourself, including taking your own herbal advice. So if you've been pushing through, running on fumes, or feeling disconnected from your own business or your own self, this episode is for you. So please, please stay tuned. Stay tuned. Now, what is burnout? What is it really? Burnout is not just about stress. And it's not just exhaustion. It is a state of chronic, unrelenting demand on your nervous system, your adrenals, and your emotional centers of the brain. Physiologically, burnout will show up as your HPA axis dysregulation, okay, for my formulating herbalist, leading to cortisol imbalances, your sympathetic dominance, which is your body is stuck in go mode, neuroinflammation, that's within the brain affecting your mood, your memory, and your clarity, and then mitochondrial depletion. Mitochondria is that energy center, so it makes energy production very difficult. Now, emotionally, burnout can feel like a loss of joy in your business, irritability over small things, you detach emotionally, a sense of dread before appointments or clients, feeling flat instead of fulfilled. Professionally, it shows up as compassion fatigue. And we hear this word a lot, but pretty much it's like somebody sitting there bawling their eyes out, 205 pounds, they're 4'3", they got a hamburger in their hand and they don't know why they keep gaining weight. And you're just sitting here like, I'm over it. And they're crying their eyes out. And you're like, I'm over it. Like, I can't deal with another person that doesn't want to take responsibility for their own actions. I can't do it. So you have compassion fatigue, right? Loss of creativity, reduced clarity in formulation, procrastination, as well as avoidance. And one thing that's important to understand about burnout is that it's not weakness. It's physiology, okay? And it's far more common in herbal practice than people realize. So why are herbalists so prone to burnout? Number one, the informal expectation to always be on. Herbalists are often the person family, friends, neighbors, and clients turn to first. There's a social expectation that you always know what to do and what herb fits what issue, and you know how to help at any moment. And so what this creates is what I call the Superman, Superwoman disease. And it's that quiet belief that we must always be strong. We must always be available. We must always be steady. We must always know what to do, right? Number two, invisible labor. This is something that people and herbalists often don't consider because client work is only a small piece of the job. They're also forgetting about the research that you have to do, formulation planning, the follow-ups, the education, running the business anyway, packaging and dispensing, creating content if you're on this internet, okay, as well as emotional support. And so herbal business, it's comprehensive, but comprehensive work requires comprehensive energy. Another thing is emotional load from client stories. Even without absorbing emotions, listening to complex layered health stories day after day after day can add to cumulative stress, right? Everything that we do, everything that we are, moves in energy. So hearing these stories, these heavy emotional stories, day after day after day, it adds to the stress load. It really does. And if you're somebody that people walk up to and like, you know what, I don't know what it is about you. And then next thing you know, they tell you their whole life story. Or you're that person, in the grocery store minding your own business and you just started talking about car tires. I don't know. And then the next thing you know, the person's crying in your arms. Right? All of this stuff, day after day after day, it does add to your stress. Number 4, the expectation to be the example. Burnout happens because there's an expectation that you have to be the example. So what does that mean? That means there's pressure to look well, to live naturally, and to walk the talk. Not realizing that this is a journey and we're human beings. Just like you, if we may struggle with sugar addiction, or we may struggle, with eating crap we don't need to be eating, or thinking thoughts we don't need to be thinking. We're all on a journey. Some of us just recognize there's steps and paths and stones to get there. But what happens is, with herbalists, when we feel that pressure, it leads to many herbalists hiding their fatigue or even avoiding asking for help in the first place. Because burnout thrives in silence. I remember one lady when I was doing a show, right? And I have a muscle relaxant salve that I create. It's really, really good. If you want some for the holidays, shameless plug, www.thedemystifiedherbalist.com. But it's a muscle relaxant salve. It's designed to go down and kind of cool down the heat and the inflammation in the body and the bones and the joints and that type of stuff. And so it's designed to help get rid of the pain, right? Address the inflammation by getting rid of the pain. Well, you address the inflammation, the pain is gone, right? So this lady, she walked up to me and I was just explaining the product to her, telling her about it and all that. She said, well, I guess you just don't ever have pain. I guess you're just pain free. You know, and she said it kind of sarcastically. I can be sarcastic, so it takes one to know one. I kind of pick up on it. You know what I mean? That little nice, nasty stuff. Now, I'm not nice, nasty. I am sarcastic, but I'm not nice, nasty. But I do pick up on that nice, nasty. And so I was kind of looking at her like, you know, kind of gave her that little courtesy laugh. That kind of helped me keep myself together laugh. You know, that courtesy laugh. So I gave her a little courtesy laugh and I was like, well, you know, we all go through things from time to time. And so it's just good to have something to address the issue should it ever arise. Anyway, you got to give people some grace. So let's talk about the subtle signs that occur before a full burnout. They used to always say the small spot. What is it? The small foxes spoil the vine, right? So when people talk about burnout, they just talk about straight up burnout. They don't talk about the little signs that happen before you get there. They don't talk to you about that road or that path that you're driving down to get you there to burnout lane, right? Burnout rarely arrives suddenly, okay? It kind of creeps in. So let's talk about some early subtle signs. Number one, your calendar feels heavier than usual. You start waking up and you're tired. Creative blocks appear. Tasks you once enjoyed feel draining now. You begin leaning on caffeine, stimulants, and sugar. You feel impatient with your clients. Nature and plant work feel distant or dull. Those are some early subtle signs. Let's look at some hidden signs that herbalists often overlook. Number one, you recommend remedies you haven't personally used in months. Your own wellness routines quietly fall away. You stop preparing formulas for yourself. You lose momentum in continuing education. Small wins don't feel satisfying anymore. You stop celebrating your growth. And then a very common sign is that you start to attract more attention-driven clients. Now, this is a subtle, but it's a major red flag that you are stretched way too thin and attracting clients who drain your energy instead of respecting it. And which leads us directly into this little segment here that I wanted to add in real quick. Clients who aren't ready. And how do I identify attention-seeking or non-committed clients? I'm going to talk about this really quickly. Now, some clients want support, clarity, and transformation. Others, however, are not truly seeking wellness. What they are seeking is attention, validation, or a platform to vent. These clients often drain herbalists far more than a compliant and ready and engaged client. Okay? So let's look at some traits really quickly of attention-driven and non-committed clients. And why did I add this in here as far as burnout? Because a lot of times these clients contribute to that. If you have 90% of your clientele are attention-driven, non-committed clients, and then you have a little small population of people that are ready, they're willing to follow protocol, they're actually contributing to their healthcare, they're doing everything they need to do, and they're seeing results because of the work they're putting in. It's like those people seem few and far between, and then you're bogged down with these traits of attention-driven and non-committed clients. And trust me, it happens more often than not. And these people, they go hopping around from place to place. And guess what? Don't feel bad. They do the doctors the same way. I had a lady, she told me that she hops from doctor to doctor to doctor. One don't tell her what she want to hear, she gonna go to this doctor. That one don't tell her what she want to hear, she gonna go to this doctor. This doctor prescribe her something, she want a little more of it. He's like, no, she go to the next doctor. This just a pattern. It's a personality, right? So let's talk about some of their traits. These clients often show several of the following signs. One, they repeat the same story every session, but never apply the guidance you give. And that could be annoying, can't it? It's like, I don't like to hear myself repeating myself. It bothers my soul. Because 9 times out of 10, if I've given you advice and I've researched it thoroughly, right? And I've researched the formulation and I've done all that back work. And then every time I come see you, it's the same story. And you didn't apply any of the recommendations that I made. It's annoying, ain't it? Number 2, they are emotionally reactive, but they're not action oriented. Number 3, they jump from, like I told you, practitioner to practitioner, looking for someone to fix them. So basically putting that responsibility on the care person and not themselves. Number 4, they want you to do the work. So they want you to do the meal planning and the scheduling and hold them accountable and emotional processing. That is way too much work for one person to do. You mean I have to plan your meals, plan your schedule, hold you accountable, bear the weight of your emotions for $29.95? What? You know? Jeez. Come on, people. Come on. Number 5, they resist any form of responsibility. So any type of responsibility you expect them to take, they'll say, I can't, or that won't work for me, or I tried that once, but it didn't work. Or, I really don't have time to follow that type of protocol, because my schedule, my job, my family, my kids, my spouse, they got 1,000 excuses, right? Number 6, they thrive on the attention of appointments, not the outcome. So they'll make their appointments. They're going to come because they want to talk. They want to have your undivided attention. All right. Number 7, they complain, but they don't change. Oh, I'm tired of walking like this. I'm tired of my leg hurting. I'm tired of my knee hurting. I'm tired of my arm not working right. I'm tired of having blurred vision. And you're sitting there just like a deer in headlights, scrolling over the plan you gave, scrolling over the research you've done, scrolling over the 15th appointment that you've had with them, and they still haven't listened. So they just want to complain. And then finally, their symptoms never improve because the lifestyle changes are never implemented. So if you tell that person they got to get rid of sugar, or if you tell that person that they got to stop smoking, or you tell the person they got to stop going to this fast food restaurant every single day, but yet they still have the aches and the pains and the bruises and all the inflammation and all this other stuff going on because they continue to eat the same crap or live the same way. That's draining. But understand, these aren't bad clients, as annoying as some of them may be. And that's just being straight up. If you're not a herbalist or herb enthusiast or somebody that cares about people or working with people, and what I just said offended you, sorry, not sorry. Because it's a fact. It can be annoying, especially when you care for people. All right? And as herbalist, because this is Dear Herbalist podcast, right? These clients are not bad people. They're not bad clients, but they're misaligned. And so you have to protect yourself from this type of client, especially if you're trying to prevent burnout. So how do you do that? Number 1, set clear expectations from day 1. What can you do? What are the outcomes? Right? Define responsibilities for both the practitioner and the client. This is what I'm going to do and be responsible for, and this is what you're going to do and be responsible for. This is also important, okay? They're called pre-session forms, all of these things. This is important because 1, you want to be able to filter if they're even ready or not. Define responsibilities for both the practitioner and the client. Have a paper after your initial assessment and all that, when you're having this follow-up appointment to talk about, now this is what's going to go on, this is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to be responsible for, and this is what you're going to be responsible for. And this will help, especially if you have a client that this just isn't going anywhere. We're spinning our wheels. I'm going to have to let you go because I'm not able to help you. This just isn't a good fit. It ain't the right time. Whatever the case may be, you got your documentation. Another thing is use a pre-session form, and this will help filter the readiness of your client. Sometimes as herbalists, we just jump into it. We get so excited. We just want to get out there and help everybody, one love, help everybody we can and all that kind of stuff. And we forget, you know what? Not everybody is ready. They're just responding to your passion and your excitement, but they're not ready to do no work. And if you're honest with yourself, after doing this for some time, you don't want to be bothered with that. You really want to be out there and helping and impacting people that really want the help, that really want to change, that really take responsibility for their part and want to do it better. They're not blaming them, random things or the doctors or this person or that person. They're like, this is what I've done and I need to change. Right? The other thing is include follow-up requirements. That's important. It's like creating a boundary. I'll follow up with you, let's say every 2 weeks, right? Initially. And then after that, I'll follow up with you once a month as growth happens. Because again, that kind of weeds out those clients that just want a buddy or a friend. Another thing is implement policies on missed appointments. This is very important. You don't want people wasting your time, especially if you have to prepare yourself before they get there. Conduct readiness calls. So, hey, are you ready? This is what it's going to take. Can you do it? And everybody's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm ready. I really want this. Okay, this is what it's going to take. What are you willing to do to get there? And if you start hearing a lot of excuses, I can't, I don't know, this and all, they're not ready. And it's okay. We have to respect that sometimes and back up. And then the other thing that you can do is provide structure protocols with checkpoints. So at each point of their growth and each point of follow-up, okay, let me see what's going on here. Do I need to adjust the protocol? Do I need to scale the herbs up, pull them back, add something else, swap it out? What do I need to do? So provide structured protocol plans with your checkpoints. Because you're not responsible for someone else's transformation. You are responsible for what you know, your expertise, your boundaries, and your energy. That's what you're responsible for. Anything else, you're stepping outside of yourself, and that's not okay. All right? So I had to talk about that particular client because I noticed just even in my years of working with people and helping people and doing these type of things, I realized that these type of clients are draining. And when you talk about burnout, you're on that road driving to burnout. Those people will hop in the backseat of your car and get you there to Burnout Alley faster than your head will spin, okay? Because you're just like, oh my gosh, is everybody, emotionally irresponsible? Sheesh. And of course the answer is no, right? Of course the answer is no. So let's talk about how burnout impacts the mind and the body. Now, burnout affects each and every system. Make no mistake about it. From the brain, giving you brain fog, poor recall, trouble concentrating, reduced decision making, to your emotions, whether you're irritable, you're either emotionally numb, you're overwhelmed, or you hold resentment. Your physical body, so it could be fatigue, sleep disruption, tension headaches, gut dysfunction issues, hormonal imbalances, weakened immunity. It doesn't just affect your business. It affects your whole biology. And this is the reason why you have to take some time and pay attention. This is the winter. So hunker down a little bit, do some assessments. So that way when spring comes, you got everything together. You got everything organized and situated. You know what you want to do. You know how you want to roll out. But right now, just pull back a little bit. Honor the seasons, right? Check out that podcast, a couple podcasts back if you're interested in what I just said. So, before we head out of here, I want to give you some practical ways to care for yourself as an herbalist. All right? So get your pens, notepads if you haven't already. go ahead and grab it. Let me give you some practical ways to care for yourself as an herbalist. Number one, take your own advice. This cannot be emphasized enough. If you recommend adaptogens, especially for somebody that has high stress job or high stress body, take them. If you preach nervous system regulation, practice it. If you encourage food journaling, do it. If you teach boundaries, put them in place and use them. Because your nervous system deserves as much attentiveness as any client that you have. Number two, another practical way to care for yourself as an herbalist. Boundaries are not optional. Let's say it all together. Boundaries are not optional. They are survival. So these are some boundaries that you must set. 1, office hours. 2, response times. 3, no after hours messaging. Okay? Trust me, you don't want to, it sounds attractive in the beginning because again, you're on speedballs. You're like, yeah, I want to go out there and help everybody and do everything. Until everybody and everything come to your lap and you're like, wait. So, no after hours messaging. Okay? My office hours are from, and those that know. Energy boundaries. Okay? I can only hold this container for you during sessions. All right? So when I'm at the grocery store and I'm with my family, or when I'm out at the beach, or I'm out here relaxing and resting, this isn't the time to come and dump all of your energy on me. This isn't the time to come and be, oh my gosh, and let me tell you about my dog, and let me tell you about my cat, and the fish jumped out the bowl, and No. Set energy boundaries. I can only hold this container for you during sessions. That is it. I have to have some for me and those that care for me, right? Or those I'm responsible in caring for. And then the other thing, limit the family members who want free advice. Now, I know some people are going to have a problem with what I just said, but anybody that's been out here long enough will understand that as soon as people hear you're a herbalist and you've helped a few people and you now all of a sudden everybody wants free advice. Some people are going to do something with it. Most people aren't. Okay? Especially if it involves stop smoking, stop drinking, stop eating junk. Right? If there's a element of self-responsibility that they have to take, that usually weeds out the people anyway. Okay, what can I do for this? Because I got this and that. Okay, what are you doing? Well, I'm drinking all this sodas and all this other kind of stuff. Okay, well, you're going to have to, get rid of that. Really drink water, teas, and things like, I can't really do all that. Okay? They're not going to follow it anyway. And I'm not saying you got to charge people for every single little thing. But it's family members especially that will constantly keep coming to you with all kinds of questions and all kinds of this and that. And it's like, look, people, I do have a business. You're not going to listen to me anyway. You're too close to the situation. But you'll go down the street, have a conversation with somebody, and they'll tell you for $49.95, I can sit and have a consultation with you, and you pay it no problem. But when it comes to me, you want free advice. Again, I have a business. This is my livelihood. This isn't something that I just, it's just a little hobby I got going on. Like, look at my setup. Does this look like a hobby? And I'm sure you guys have had those thoughts in your head. So when we talk about the boundaries, okay, how you can set boundaries clearly and compassionately, understand that you don't need long explanations. All right? Clear and simple statements work. I am available during these hours. Or this is outside the scope of our session. Let's schedule some time. I can't give medical or herbal advice over the text. Or let's add this to our next appointment, right? The right clients are going to respect your boundaries. The wrong clients will push them. So if I tell you I can't give you medical or herbal advice over text, then you text me, well, the doctor said I had diabetes. What can I do for that? Right? That's pushing boundaries. Now, number 3, how you can take care of yourself. Build your own herbal rituals. So use nervines if you're overstimulated. Use adaptogens for long-term resilience. Use liver support herbs if your stress shows up as irritability. So if you find yourself irritable all the time, angry, that type of thing, support your liver. Your liver needs a little love. Do some tea rituals, okay, such as grounding. So get your cloves or your chai, those other thicker herbs that kind of settle you down a little bit. Tonics, those are really good too. They help support your constitution. So think about those type of herbs. Number 4, rest without earning it. You don't have to reach collapse to deserve some rest. Rest is a maintenance strategy. It's not a reward, all right? So get some rest. Number 5, reconnect with why you started in the first place. So you may have to go back to just taking a walk and playing around with the plants. Or you may have to go back to, rather than having these deep, in-depth formulations, go back to when you first started with maybe 1 or 2 herbs. Okay? Get back out in nature. Go review some additional materia medica or some creative herbal projects. Work on these things. And if you guys hear that noise in the background, that's my son. Now, I told this boy, side note, I am recording. I have a little note on my door, recording. Okay, I don't have no fancy office studio, but I am recording. And I hear all this noise in the background. So I don't know if I'm going to cut this out or I'm just going to let it be real and let it be what it is, right? It is what it is. It's just, you don't have to be polished all the time. And I don't want to be. Sometimes I'm going to have noise in the background that should not be there. But as long as it's not disruptive or anything like that. But because I hear it, I'm like, this is going to go through my feed. But I'm trying to stay connected. I'm trying to stay focused. But that's the reality when you have children, right? It is what it is. But when you reconnect with why you started, your passion, why you wanted to do this in the first place, it reconnects your nervous system to purpose. See, a lot of times you'll find a lot of herbalists out there that are doing this like this is a job. This isn't a job, okay? This is a purpose. Some people feel like they're called to do this, right? And then don't get me wrong. Now that I think about it, some people, it may just be a job for them. They may just, hey, I just like herbs and I just want to do something. It's just a little jobby job, right? But there are those out there that feel a pull. They feel a calling. They feel like this is what they're supposed to do. This is why I'm here. And so it's deeper than that. But that doesn't mean that just because you walk along your purpose, that it's just going to be a nice smooth road. Oftentimes it's a bumpier road. Because when you really come into alignment with your purpose, you become dangerous now. Because you are like super focused. You are ready to go. You know why you're here. You know what you need to know. And you know who you're supposed to be talking to. And you're ready to go. Those type of people are dangerous. Because there is nothing that can knock them off their path. They had to go through bumps and hurdles and disappointments and pain and all this other kind of stuff just to get to where their final destination is, and they're walking in their purpose and they're happy. It wasn't perfect, but they persevered and they got through. This is purpose, and it's purpose for me. And so you have to go back to why you started, and you cannot allow, noise. I guess I shouldn't have recorded my podcast the night, before Thanksgiving, right? Because then everybody's like, but purpose, okay? Purpose. Walk in your purpose. And when you stay connected to that, it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to run into people that sometimes make you question, why are you even doing this in the first place? Because I feel like, you made me feel like I'm wasting my time, or you made me feel like, maybe I'm not effective. Maybe I shouldn't even be doing this in the first place because I can't seem to help you. So why am I even here? What's my purpose, right? But trust me, everything that you are doing, it's for a purpose. And your voice is going to connect with the people that it's supposed to be connecting with. So you have to stay the course. Because somebody is waiting on you. They're waiting on your obedience. They're waiting on you to stay strong and to keep moving forward no matter what. And so along that path, you got to take care of yourself, and you got to understand you're going to get a few people that kind of work your nerves, but sometimes they're there for a reason. How committed are you to the path? How dedicated are you to the path? Or are you just going to hop off at the first person to get on your nerves? Let me tell you, don't do that. It'll be a quick trip. Because they coming. Trust me. They are coming. But at the end of the day, understand that burnout is not a personal failing. It is a physiological state created by chronic overextension. So let me give you some key takeaways. Number one, burnout happens when demand exceeds replenishment. Number two, herbalists are uniquely vulnerable due to the emotional labor, invisible workload, and social expectations. Number three, small subtle signs like fatigue, irritation, disconnection. These are early warning signs. Number four, some clients seek attention, not transformation. Recognize their traits to protect your energy. Number five, boundaries are essential. Number six, self-care means actually taking your own advice and your own remedies. And then number seven, replenishment is not optional. Your work depends on your wellness. So get some rest where you need to, recalibrate, and get back there on your path. Thank you so much for listening tonight. Remember, caring for others begins with caring for yourself. Stay focused. If you feel like you're on your learning journey, you want to learn more, please go over to my website at www.thedemystifiedherbalist.com. Enjoy time with your families. I'm not going to call it Thanksgiving, but enjoy spending time with your families and loved ones and people that you haven't seen in a while. And during this time and during this season, take the time to get some rest. I really enjoyed this particular series that I've been working on. And so I hope to continue to do more, and I will continue to do more. And in December, we're going to talk about a whole nother topic, a whole nother series. So stay tuned for that. I'm pretty excited about that as well. And you guys have a good evening. And with that, family, I'm out.